women are breaking the glass ceiling in a number of fields which were earlier considered to be domains of male preserve. With a view to empowering young women, Mata Sundari College for Women is bringing together legendary women leaders so that they can. We have with us very dynamic, inspiring, and committed women who needs no introduction and are role model for young girls. Now, I would request Professor Harpreet Kaur, Principal Mata Sundari College, to welcome the guests. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am has joined, or should I start right now?
Yes, ma'am, you can start. Ma'am will join at 5:30.
I think then I'll speak that time only. Meanwhile, I really want to accord a very, very warm welcome to Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sahni, Chairman, Governing Body. And I'm very thankful to him that he has spared his time and he is joining us on this event. Thank you very much, sir. And I want to tell the audience a little bit about his work also. He's a great philanthropist and he has done so many things in the field of, especially for the women also. And so many projects have been taken up by Sun Foundation, led by Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sahni. And he is there into women empowerment truly, and truly an iconic figure for us. And we are blessed that he is our chairman and he is guiding us at various junctures. And due to his leadership, I think the college is rising, and we are very thankful that he has spared his time out of his busy schedule. And this program, as you all know, is especially about women and women in different fields. And as you know that there as Sarabjit has also pointed out, that earlier there were certain things specifically for women, that these are the things just meant for women. And I remember there was a circular once by the government that there are certain professions like teaching, nursing, and all these are for women. But that was actually criticized quite a lot, and this was in the 80s, and it was not very long back. So now we have women in various fields. We are seeing that they are pilots also, they have gone to space also. All those previous male domain have been broken by the women, and by their example they are leading by their own example. I think this is exemplary. And I have the whole generation in front of me, my students, who are and we have called all these women today who have been so dynamic, because precisely that you get an example in front of you. You just feel that how they have grown. It's not that they have not faced any problems. They had to face quite many problems for quite many times, but at the same time, but they could make a mark. So you also can come forward. And that is why I want the students should learn from this life stories of these legendary figures, and then they can rise, I think. And this event, I believe, is an connecting between the present leadership and the upcoming, the future leaders. And so the future leaders should have very many takeaways from this event. And we all know that Dr. Kiran Bedi is going to join us very shortly. We also have Mrs. Shalra Chandra. Now she's also, former Chief Secretary of Delhi, and she has again she has done quite well, and she has risen so high, and her contribution at first IAS officer that way. So we have both the first IAS officer and first IPS also. So this really I think this webinar or this workshop, as we have called it, is actually great in the sense, it is iconic in the sense because we are having iconic figures in it. And so I welcome you all on this event. And we are really looking forward that Dr. Kiran Bedi joins us. And of course we are going to learn quite a lot, because all through we have been reading about her, and many examples we have got from her background, and I think they are really very, very appreciable. And my generation, as I believe that I think Dr. Kiran Bedi has joined.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So once again, good evening, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you all all the distinguished guests, colleagues, and my dear students on this 3-day international workshop. Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi, has joined us. And also we have Chairman Governing Body, Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sahani Padam Shri with us. Mata Sundari College faculty is there, students and participants. I welcome you all on this workshop. Now, this workshop is basically for the women achievers who creating history, nourishing present, and building the future. And so, as I said, that we want to groom the upcoming leadership with the life examples of those women leaders who have led all through. And I'm really overwhelmed that Dr. Kiran Bedi has spared her valuable, very, very valuable time, and she has joined us and she is going to guide our students. And we are really looking forward to this event. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi, is really a dynamic figure. I don't know how many of my generation really did not want to become like her, because we used to read so much about her in the newspapers and in the TV. We used to see so much that we all aspire to become like her. At least I can say for myself that really I look forward to her, and as a dynamic figure. Now, she started as a brief stint at Khalsa College for Women, Amritsar, and she is the first woman to be IPS, and only one in the batch of 80 at Mussoorie. And she's first woman also to lead all male contingent of the Delhi Police at Republic Day Parade in 1975. And she was also first representative at the UN Police. Now, these are all her landmark things which she has broken, and she has broken the glass ceiling, as Sarabjit has pointed out. Now, as DCP traffic, she controlled the traffic snarls, all this, and she was nicknamed as Crane Bedi, and that really inspired people like me. That that how you can be so strict and just for maintaining law and order. So that really inspired to the core of my heart. Her humanist streak is visible in so many of her events, like reforms at the Tihar jail. And also, as a social activist, she has been talking against drug abuse, working against drug abuse, and India Vision Foundation. So many qualities of her I really cannot describe. She is an author, tennis champion, recipient of prestigious awards. And recently in 2011, I think we cannot forget her role in anti-corruption people's movement, which we can call as people's movement. And she was one of the face and the leaders there also. Truly a dynamic personality and truly inspirational. We are honored and humbled to have you, ma'am. I would be really failing in my duty if I don't mention Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sahani Padam Shri. His philanthropic undertakings are known not only in India but also in the world. He has been instrumental in taking up really good projects about women empowerment, Project Surya Kiran for empowering rural women and giving vocational training to them, Save the Girl Child, whose face was Priyanka Chopra, Farmers Widow Cause, and recently I could see in the TV and NDTV and many others covered it that Sun Foundation has imparted sanitary hygiene to the Tihar inmates. Sir, I welcome you. And along with this, I also welcome all the participants who are here, Dr. Sarabjit Kaursari, my students, faculty members, and I'm sure this workshop will be a memorable one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would request Chairman Governing Body, Mata Sundari College, Padam Shri Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sahni to give welcome address to Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dr. Kiran Bedi. Please, sir, over to you.
Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi ji, it's indeed an honor and privilege to welcome your good self today on behalf of Mata Sundari College for Women, Delhi University, to the multidisciplinary workshop with theme Women Achievers Creating the History, Nourishing the Present, and Building the Future. Dr. Bedi, we could not have thought a better personality than your good self to inaugurate this work. I feel when a woman makes up her mind and is determined to make a change. And when she takes it in her hand to guide the way, and when she is convinced that something needs to be done to uplift the society, nothing and no one can stop her, as has been demonstrated by your own exemplary career. We are extremely proud and grateful to be in the presence of such great inspiring women of our country who is living example of this strength, grit and determination. I think through this webinar in these COVID times, let's give a warm welcome to our distinguished chief guest and keynote speaker, the Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Dr. Kiran Bedi.
Thank you so much.
As our principal, Dr. Mrs. Harpreet Kaur was mentioning, Dr. Kiran Bedi is a retired first IPS officer, social activist, former tennis player, who is the current Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. During her service, she has launched numerous campaigns against drug abuse, which evolved into Navjyoti Delhi Police Foundation. She's also introduced several reforms at the Hard Jail, which gained worldwide acclaim. Honorable Dr. Bedi became the first Indian and first woman to be appointed as head of United Nations Police and Police Advisors in United Nations Department of Peace Operations. Her work has been recognized and applauded by individuals and organizations all across the globe, and she was awarded the United Nations Medal in 1994, and all of us know the prestigious Raman Magsaysay Award in 2004. Of course, she has written several books and of course runs the famous India Vision Foundation. Her work as an activist fighting corruption, as just now was being told, work for causes like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, standing up for the rights of women and strongly advocating environmental causes. I think her journey to this day as LG of Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry is absolutely exemplary, challenging, invigorating, and inspirational. You have made our country proud through your immense contribution to the society. And I hope, Dr. Kiran Bedi, you will always remain a great source of motivation to all the women for many, many generations. I'm so honored that you have joined us today. With these words, I welcome you, Dr. Kiran Bedi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for being with us on this evening. Now I would request Sangeeta, please play the introductory video. Sangeeta, please play the introductory video.
Sure, ma'am. Just give me 1 minute.
That light on. That light. And tell money to come. Some of the pictures to Mr. Sran. Yes.
Sran sir is so associated and very close to ma'am. In fact, उनको poster design everything.
Excellent. I'm so glad you did.
तो ऐसा घर का function है, madam ने बोला है. First of all, to jump the list of 150 invites, when man jumps that, I know it is special. That's what I told him.
There's a fan here.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for playing the video. Now I would request Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Poduchary, Dr. Kiran Bedi, to share her views and experiences on good practices in government, reaching out to the masses. Over to you, ma'am.
Very good to see you, Sarabjit. Very good to see you virtually.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Same here.
Harminder and I work together.
I know, ma'am.
And I work together, and good to see you virtually.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I know the energy and strength behind Harminder, so very happy to meet you. And when Harminder told me that it is your college and it's your program, you are family for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harpreet Kaur, the principal of Mata Sundari College. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this invitation, Padam Shri Vikramjit Sawhney Sir, the chairman of the governing board. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am quite aware of your college. Your college has been part of my beat. It was part of my beat, and I visited your college earlier as well while I was working with and stationed in Delhi. Thank you for the subject you've given me, because it comes so naturally with me. You asked me to speak about good practices in government, reaching out to the masses. My answer to this, to all the listeners of the listeners of this webinar, who could be the prospective UPSC candidates, you never know, joining the government at any stage, my answer to these things are following. Number one, if you join the government service for the love of the service, for the meaning of the service, then nobody has to tell you to be accessible to the masses, because you have joined because you know there are masses behind it. There are people behind it who are looking forward to. It's like the police officer joining. He's joining for the masses. He or she is joining for the masses. And district collector who joined the Indian Administrative Service is joining for the masses. So it's like a principal of the college, the vice chancellor of a college is joining for the masses, because it is people behind these jobs. So I would say the first purpose you will join the masses if you first understand the purpose of your joining. The purpose of your profession makes you automatically connect with the masses. Unfortunately, what happens is we know a particular job is meant for the masses, but after joining, we forget that. We distance ourselves from the people. We forget that. Those of us who remember that our work, the reason for our joining the services was for the masses. It's like the vice chancellor being available to the students. It's being a principal, you are available for the students. It's being your own lecturer or your head of the department you're available. Now you find your own ways of being available. Some are available on a fixed time, some available. Everybody has their own style of accessibility. So number one is the purpose. If you keep the purpose of your work in mind, you will continue to stay connected with the masses. This has been by habit. Thank you so much for being so generous in your introduction for me. All I would say is that when I joined the Indian Police Service, I knew it was for the masses. And therefore, whatever work I got, I made it a point to remain with the masses and stay with the masses. And if you remember, you talked about traffic times. Yes, if you remember, I used to have a microphone in my car, and I used to travel all over the city with the microphone, reminding people of the responsibilities in traffic, in observance of traffic laws. The cranes you're mentioning came because of this, and even the cranes had a microphone which was sending the messages to the people, reminding them to park their cars at the right place. So, number one is, when you understand the purpose of your work, you will stay with the mass. And if it is, like, for instance, if you get into an intelligence work, it is not for the masses. It is understanding and remaining invisible. But moment you join an open public service, whether it's teaching, whether it's enforcement, whether it's administration, then it is to be staying with the mass. But once you've understood the methodology, then you are trained also, but then you also create your own ways of accessibility. Like, for instance, invitations from yours is for me accessibility for the masses through a virtual interaction. So it is reaching out to the people through all possible means. And today's virtual connectivity is also joining with the masses on subjects which may inspire them. Secondly, is that you the good one. The good practices of reaching out to the masses is where you respect your own work, because the more you respect your work, the more you like your work, the more you will connect with the people. Otherwise, why have you joined? In fact, a government service, a collector or an SP without the masses, or a vice chancellor without the students, or an HOD without the students, is no job. Is in fact, it loses its own meaning. In fact, the more you respect your own work, the more you will adopt good practices to join the masses. Similarly, how sensitive you are. If you remain sensitive, you will continue to reach out to the masses. So it's how much you respect your work, how much you understand the purpose of your work, how much concern you have for the people, how sensitive, as I said, how much you value your own self and your own work, and how much joy you get out of this. The more you draw joy out of your own work and you will continue to join the masses. I will now, in few minutes, explain to you how in Puducherry we do, and then I will come back to your question answers, because I want to answer the students who may be listening to us. And I'm sure you have a few questions with you. It would be the things which we have done in Rajnivas of joining the masses. Normally, governors' houses are very far away from the people. One of the first things we did was we opened the gate of Rajnivas to allowing the children to come, visitors to come, women to come. And the open house system, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 5 till 7, anybody can come and meet the governor and her team. So they meet the team and they have a grievance. Every weekend, we had a Thursday cinema in our lawns where children had a Tamil cinema show. So in the lawns, we had the daris, and the children would come and see a movie. So children connected. So we were connected with the masses. What we would do was ask the children, see the film, and discuss it and take home a message. We invited the teachers, we invited the parents, come and see. It was connecting with the masses. So through opening up of the gate to the masses, that's how the Lieutenant Governor Office and the Rajnivas connected with the masses. Why? Because that was our purpose. Our purpose is not to make it into a killer, as something which has an it's very scared of people away. No, in fact, we removed even the barricades from the door. हमारे सड़क पे वहां उन्होंने barricade लगाए हुए थे. We removed all the barricades. We said, let people cross, let people pass by Rajnivas, let them see Rajnivas, what it looks like, because this is a people's office. It's a people's Nivas. So inviting them, then open house, as I explained to you. Then we use technology also to connect with the masses, which is a very good practice. The WhatsApp messages, we formed groups. We have groups of police officers. We have groups of market associations. We have groups of volunteers. We have groups of teachers. We have groups of all kinds of, all officers. We have groups. All groups are into WhatsApp messages, and WhatsApp groups, and we stay connected. So we have a secretaries group, we have teachers group, we have volunteers group, we have students group, we have all kinds of groups, so we can send out messages. We use technology in a very big way. And people of Puducherry are also connected. So anybody has a grievance can send us a message on WhatsApp group, and we immediately take care of this. So we use technology also. Then we also go out. We go out of the Rajnivas. Till COVID came, before COVID, we were every weekend out or into field visits. Every day, Rajnivas would go out because of the complaints which came or a grievance which came through the control room. We would go out and stretch ourselves. So we would connect with the masses on the ground. Supposing somebody came with a complaint, then madam, particular pond or any issue, this is an encroached or this issue, any complaint coming in of land or water or sanitation or anything came, if we thought it needed to be seen, we went out to see and visited it. We connected with the masses of the ground. So rather than waiting for rural people to come, we would go into the rural areas to see. So connectivity through opening up of the system and opening up by technology and encouraging people to come. We had the visitor hour at every day, 12 to 1. Raj Nivas, before COVID, had a visitor hour. Every day, visitors could register online, whether they were German or foreigners or Europeans. We had tourists, as you know, Pondicherry has tourism. So we used to have people, they wanted to see the Darbar Hall, they want to see LG's office. So we invited them, and they would have pictures of this place and take pictures all over the world they came from. So this is how we connected ourselves with the masses, by going to them or allowing them to come, responding to their grievances and getting their matters addressed. This is how we connected with the masses, and which is why Rajnivas became accessible to all sections of society, all age groups, all regions, and people who start to feel that we are here to serve them. So friends, these are some of the good practices I thought I'll share with you. Same thing I did even before I came to Rajnivas, as I explained to you with the policing, or when I did a prison assignment as Inspector General Prison, where I would go into the prison every day, walk into the prison and meet the prisoners, to listen to them, to see whether they're in healthy conditions, whether they are clean, whether they are being educated, whether they are getting all the facilities which we had planned for them, whether it was education or skills development. We've done lots of things for them. A lot of NGOs used to come those days. And so this is how we connected with, now for me, the prisons inside the prison, who were 10,000 of them, were a mass. They were like masses. They couldn't come to me. In that case, I used to go out and connect with them every day. Now, this is what a government servant. Similarly, as Deputy Commissioner of Police, when I did district police assignment, I used to have an open house time for people to come one by one. Some did not have the paper to write. I used to have my staff to assist them to write their complaint, take a piece of paper, and so that I could attend to them. At times, I used to have more than 120 complainants sitting outside my office to listen to one by one, and we did. It was our duty. So we were connected with the masses, by which crime fell and more faith, corruption fell, because you were accessible to listen to the people. I think that's the reason for a public servant to be there in the job wherever they are. We all have a reason to be there, as long as we continue to fulfill that reason. This is what it means, having good practices in the government by connecting with different forms. It depends on where one is posted. I thought I'd share with you some of the practices I adopted in my work, and we do in Pondicherry, but I had done this also prior to that. So it came as a habit. The fact is, as long as you stick to the purpose and do not forget the purpose of your being wherever you are, you find your own strategies of doing it and you evolve. Thank you so much once again for inviting me, Professor Harpreet Kaurji and Padam Shri Vikramjit Sahni Saab and Dr. Sarbjit Kaur Stran Sir. Madam, go ahead, and I'm open for your questions and answers.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving such a stimulating speech, how you had connected to the masses. So, yes, ma'am, there are so many questions in the chat box. I will read one by one. So this is a question by Zainab, and she is writing, we have seen in news that there are large number of coronavirus cases in Pondicherry, but now situation has improved drastically. How have you achieved this? I think this is the most relevant question during this corona crisis. Everyone is looking for the answer to this question, ma'am.
COVID virus needs very multi-dimensional management. First of all, its own people, where people must understand that they are the self-preventer. If they wear a mask, they are saving themselves from getting infected and also not infecting the others. So first of all is your mask wearing. They understand. Secondly, if you keep your hands sanitized, then it's totally self-protected. Mask is mutual protection. Sanitation is self-protection. Then social distancing is also mutual protection. First of all, is it's people, the more they understand, the more COVID will be, you will be saved from it. Despite your protection, you may still get affected because somebody else is making a mistake. But if you maintain social distance, and if you are being invited and you observe, it's called COVID etiquette. So that means a lot of COVID infection or virus affecting you is a lot in your own hands, both to self-protect and to others. Now we promote this. We constantly are messaging this in our own ways, through media messages, through radio messages, pronouncements. The police does announce. We continue to insist. Municipality does, police does, we do, as LGI do, as secretaries people do. So we do a lot of media communication. Besides that, it's a treatment. It's a search for who is having a fever clinic. So we open area-wise fever clinics and request the people to come quickly, answer if you have a cough and a cold, and you have, come and get yourself tested. So in case you have COVID, then we can detect early and send you for treatment, because early detection is early prevention. Delayed detection could be leading to more consequences. So we have fever clinics right to them. We also have mobile clinics on a mobile, so we can do the RT-PCR test or the other kinds of tests so that we can detect you quickly. So we connect again with the masses. We also request them to come and report. Then we have very carefully managed clinical management, so that if those people who've come with comorbidity, because some who may have a comorbidity will become more vulnerable, because COVID hurts your immunity system, your immune system. And when it hits your immune system, and if you have other parallel issues, then you need extra care from the doctor, so that the immunity is built up, and therefore you need very strong clinical management. So we do clinical management, we work on prevention, we do our treatment, we do messaging, and then we also do enforcement. People who are not listening to you, then you also find them to basically tell. So it's enforcement also, prevention also, messaging also, treatment also, mobility also. And then we, most important as far as management is concerned, we every afternoon we review what has worked, what do we need to do. All the doctors are, we have a very strong control room, which is overseeing all these responsibilities. So the control room looks at all these. The control room officer, secretary who's in charge of control room, talks to the doctors as a group by one messaging. Similarly, the collector talks to the main senior doctors as one messaging. And every 2:30 p.m., I do a meeting with all the key pillars to do what is happening. So by this kind of connectivity, we've been able to somehow control the problem, but the problem is not always very controllable, because there's an intermixture. Like, for instance, Poduchary is a tourist place. So people come from all directions and come here, and they may not observe and they may spread it. Therefore, the messaging is, do not sit in air-conditioned closed rooms. If you are in closed by air-conditioned room, open up the doors. Let fresh air come around so that you do not breathe each other, suffocation. So as much prevention as possible must be adhered to. So, but prevention lies a lot. When you go home and immediately keep your shoes outside the house and have a wash and a bath, wear fresh clothes, wash your hands, etc., and then connect with your family members. So these are the precautions so that you don't take the disease to the home. But we also have taken a lot of expert help of the ICMR. The Indian Council of Medical Research help has come in very handy, and it has helped us in Pondicherry in a big way. So we took expert help also, and we apply our own mind also, and we try and do a coordinated, collaborated work. The private medical colleges also have pitched in the students and the doctors to do these kinds of clinics. So you mobilize resources as much as can.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for explaining. I think all will benefit from your talk. Another question is by Navya Mahajan. She's saying, what are the major administrative changes you have made in Poduchary to bring more accountability and transparency?
Most of all is the open house, where, as I explained to you before I spoke to you, Sarabjit, as
Yes.
that when open house is accountability, anybody can come and complain against if they have a genuine grievance. Today we are having virtual open houses. Earlier it was in person. So now open house remains, WhatsApp groups remain. Anybody can write, call up 1031, call up 100, and every complaint is tracked and looked into so that it is found out. But another thing which I do, if a complaint comes to me and which I feel requires urgent attention rather than only a report, and by the time Mr. Shran himself is the chief vigilance, he takes care of he's also secretary vigilance. So I would then send it to Mr. Shran and say, come on virtual and find out whether this complaint has any ite of truth. So we don't only wait for a report. I will send it to Mr. Shran, and Mr. Shran will immediately look into it and tell me, yes, ma'am, I think we need to go deeper into this complaint. But moment you start attending to the matter, immediately the message goes that it is not a paper. It is now an issue for us, which is concerning. So I think this is how we raised accountability, by fear of getting caught, fear of exposure. And then we also sometimes put it into our groups to let people know this is what's happening, this is not acceptable. So the fear of exposure, fear of getting caught is very high. You must raise that fear quotient very much. Chance of certainty of punishment is important. So we try and do that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Another question is by Zenat, and she has pasted the same question. I have seen in media that you conduct a open house in Rajnivas to hear public grievances, how it is helpful in bringing efficiency in government.
It is, because see, once the people know that they can connect with the powers that be, it gives them a trusting. Government must be trusted. People must get the feeling that they have somewhere they can always go to, and they will be heard, and that action will happen, and that they will not get influenced. Trust quotient for administration is very, very important. And this is what open house reinforces, that we follow up the matters. And we have an efficient team of officers who follow up the matters. That's why we always say we are working like a team, Rajnivas. Our Honorable Chief Minister of Puducherry calls the Lieutenant Governor office that it has 6 governors, because everybody works like a governor here. Whether it's Asha Gupta, who's helped you put this team around, or my OSD Niti Das, or my PS Mr. Sridhar, or my Chief Grievances Officer Bhaskar, everybody's like a Lieutenant Governor here. Means because they're all empowered. Well,
Yeah.
they're self-driven. They work on their own. Every public servant must do the right thing on their own and not be told to do or reminded to do. That's why our Chief Minister says, Raj Nivas mein to 6 governor. हाँ हैं 6 governor. सही बात.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, another question is by Harsha. Lots of work on water conservation was done at Poduchary. What are your views on this?
Absolutely the need. I'm telling you, every student should owe itself to water conservation, greening and water conservation. If the whole youth, 300 million youth of this country gets involved into some tree plantation, some water conservation, pond care, tank cleanliness, whatever. See, आप देखो गुरुद्वारे में कार सेवा करते नहीं? कैसे कर सकते? We do car seva. Do they employ? Do they have a contract of PWD? They do the car seva. Mandir tanks, Gurdwara tanks are cleaned by car seva. Car seva means car seva. Do serve. They don't do PWD contracts and spend lakhs of rupees to desilt a tank. It's everybody kadai utha ke, everybody does the car seva, and the whole tank gets served, because you think you are serving the Lord. You are pleasing God. This is what we can do in our own areas, in villages in particular, wherever we are, particularly in the rural area. And then conservation of water. We must save water wherever we must.
Ma'am, another question is by Amrit Kaur. She is saying My question is about the struggles you faced during your term as an IPS officer and how you managed to create a space for yourself in a male dominant society and profession.
You see, I'm here to succeed and not complain. I'm here to do and get things done. I have come here prepared. I have the energy, I have the skill, I have the capability, and I have the will, and I have the purpose. So where is the problem? Challenges will come. Let them come, deal with it. That's my capability. And I have the confidence, and I upskill myself. I mentally, with the right attitude, with the right set of habits, I nourish myself, not just bodily, but also mentally and spiritually. If one nourishes oneself physically, emotionally, mentally, you are then ready to take on challenges which come. In every life, there are challenges. There are challenges which come which are beyond your control. But what happens in the end is, how have you dealt with it? Not crumble, but continue to stand up. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, then who will? Because many others may be dependent on you to stand up. Therefore, you have to continue to apply your mind and deal with the situation to the best of your capability. But you have to be prepared on a daily basis. You cannot rest on your oars. There's no holiday in good attitude. There's no holiday in right attitude. There's no holiday in good health. COVID has taught us one clear message that if you are gifted with good health, you have everything. You may have wealth, but if you don't have good health, wealth will not buy you health. Health will buy you wealth. So I think once you get these right messages and you continue to nourish them, not forget them, not forget them. Even if you're feeling low at sometimes, revive yourself on a regular basis and come back and live your day. So I also have my lows and highs, doesn't matter. But you have to continue to reinvent, revive, re-energize. So it's like taking your own nutrition on a regular basis. And this is self-nutrition.
Ma'am, if you permit, can I take the one more question?
Zarur.
It is from Nidhi Sharma. She is saying, how do you deal with failures when I believe a job post you are holding is very challenging and demanding? Also, what would you like to advise to the upcoming civil servants?
Failure happens when you give up and give in. If you don't give up and if you don't give in, but you keep trying and you keep finding a way out to find a solution, you do not fail. You fail only when you stop trying and you give up, and because you chicken out. Don't chicken out. If you don't chicken out, you're not failing. So I don't chicken out. I find solutions. I look for answers. Where are the answers? So as long as I continue to look for the answer and keep working for towards the answer, you don't fail. I don't fail. I succeed because I keep the effort on. So if you keep the effort on, you're not failing. It's only when you stop the effort you fail. Why should I fail? When I know that I must keep the effort on, when I know the solution lies in effort. So continue with the effort. You fail in your class when you stop studying. You don't fail if you keep reading and preparing. You may not get the highest marks, but if you keep preparing, keep learning, keep seeking help, you don't fail, you succeed. Because you may not succeed in getting A grade, but you will not get D, because then D means absent. You're failing because you didn't even sit for the paper. So what I'm saying is that if you keep the effort on, then you're not a failure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, would you like to wrap up that? Ma'am would like to wrap up the talk because of her prior engagements. Due to paucity of time, we cannot take more questions from the chat box. Chat box is full of questions, ma'am. We cannot take more because ma'am has prior engagements. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your views and experiences with all of us. This was an enlightening session, which I am sure shall motivate young students for years to come. On behalf of Mata Sundari College for Women, it is my privilege to offer vote of thanks to the Honorable and respected Lieutenant Governor of Poduchary, Dr. Kiran Bedi. Please accept our sincere gratitude for taking out time from your busy schedule and gracing us with your presence. Thank you so much, ma'am. I also extend my thanks to our chairman governing body, Padam Shri Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sani, for being with us on this evening. Thank you, sir. And I will also extend my thanks to Principal Ma'am, Professor Harpreet Kaur, who has always supported us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Honorable Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Kiran Bedi, for coming and honoring us. Thank you so much.
No, you thank Mr. Shran, not me. Please thank Mr. Shran, who connected with Ashok Gupta and made it happen.
Okay, ma'am.
Because it's the credit goes to one call by him was enough. Because for me, the people I work with is my first family. And therefore, moment Shran connected with Mata Sundari College and told me, you working there, I said, I have to be with you because I want to meet you. So, but through you, I've met your principal, I've met your governing body chairman. I said, very good. And reconnected with Mata Sundari College. I think I went to your college many years ago. Very, very happy to reconnect with you once again, virtually.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And we want to see you physically also. As soon as things are over, we would like to have you at the college.
वापस आएंगे तो मिलेंगे.
और बहुत inspiration था, बहुत. You told the students how to go on and on despite all the failures, all the bottlenecks. And hats off to you for your work. Thank you, ma'am.
उनको बोलो फेलियर कुछ नहीं होता है, एफर्ट्स को जारी रखें, मेहनत करते रहे, मेहनत कभी खाली नहीं जाती. एक मैसेज साफ साफ दे दीजिए, कोई जिंदगी में फेलियर नहीं है. फेलियर तब है जब आप रुक जाओगे. चलते चलो, कर्म करते चलो, मेहनत करते जाओ, रास्ते खोलते जाओ. अपने आप रास्ते छोटा छोटा करते करते आप सफलता जाओगे. फेलियर तब होगे जब आप अपना एफर्ट खत्म कर दोगे. एफर्ट मत खत्म करना, यही मेरा लास्ट मैसेज है. मेहनत करते जाओ. हर एक की फैमिली के हालात अलग अलग होते हैं, लेकिन अगर जो भी आपको भगवान ने दिया है उसी पर काम करते जाओ, वही एक दिन बहुत कामयाबी देगा. कहीं पर भी होगे, जो है उसी पर बिल्ड करो, वही मल्टीप्लाई करे.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us so much time. I know you are always busy with the administrative work.
Thank you.
Keep everybody on toe. I know this, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Thank you, Dr. Kiran Bedi.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Dr. Kiran Bedi ji. We are taking away two things because most of us here are self-made people who started their careers grassroots level. I myself was a government servant like your good self. तो दो टेक आज के कि मेहनत करते जाओ, effort करते हो, believe in Yama, and second, which we are taking away is connect. Stay close to grassroots level so that the masses can be benefited and the concept of socialism, social equality of distribution of wealth and what talking is achieved. Thank you very much. We are but we like after this COVID thing is over and we have vaccine, then we like you to be the chief guest at our annual day. And our youth festival is the best festival of Saran of Delhi University. So on one of these occasions, we will invite your good self, and we do hope you will accept our invitation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sangeeta, please check whether Shalja ma'am has joined.
Ma'am, she has joined.
Good evening, Shalja ma'am. I would request our principal ma'am, Professor Harpreet Kaur, to give a welcome address to Shalja ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible, ma'am.
I have switched on my, I've unmuted myself and I've kept the video on.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, but it is a little dark, I think.
Dark?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if something can be done. any better?
Yes, definitely. It is much better.
All
Yes.
right. So I've just changed the other side of the room, that's all.
So good evening, Ms. Shelda Chandraji, and to this event, which is so special because here we are actually want to guide the upcoming generation, and we want to take examples, life examples, of the stalwarts, and in that vein, we have invited you, and you are you have joined us, and we are very thankful to you, ma'am, for joining us, for sparing your precious time. And Ms. Shelda Chandra is 66 batch IAS officer, and she retired as Chief Secretary of Delhi and former Secretary in Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. She is also recipient of many awards, the UN FPA Ladli Award for her opinion on women empowerment. Your commitment to the task is really laudable, and many people have learned so much from you, because today we need to empower the younger generation because we want to show them a correct path. I think your life example, being the first IAS officer, because all those IAS aspirants, I think we have so many IAS experience as our students also, and they will learn so much from your example. And so once again, on behalf of governing body, Chairman Sudha Vikramjit Singh Sahani, and myself and my entire staff, we really welcome you and thank that you have spared the valuable time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Shalja Chandra ma'am has a career civil servant for almost 40 years, having held assignments in the Ministries of Defense, Power and Health. At the state level, Ms. Chandra was posted in Manipur, Goa, Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Mrs. Chandra has spent over 12 years at state level as Health Secretary in Delhi and Manipur. Later in the Health Ministry, dealing with National Disease Control Program, medical education, hospital, and health system management. She later distinguished herself as Delhi's only first woman chief secretary when Delhi government received award for introducing CNG in public transport and the UN Prize for Good Governance. In 2006, she was appointed as the first executive director of the National Population Stabilization Fund, Government of India. Since 2018, she has been functioning as a member of two-person committee set up by the National Green Tribunal on the regeneration of the Yamuna and abatement of pollution in the river. She is currently president of Translational Health Science and Technology. She is an independent director of 3 company boards and also chairman of the governing body of Chetna and Apex NGO working in nutrition and reproductive health. Ms. Chandra has published several reports and policy papers related to governance, population, education, medical pluralism, and gender issues. She is the chairman of the review committee set up by the government of NCT of Delhi on the Delhi School Education Act and rules. Now I would request our respected and honorable Mrs. Shalja Chandra, former IAS officer and first woman chief secretary of Delhi government, to express her views on the topic challenges before administrator. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar, good evening. It's wonderful to be on this virtual platform, to be able to address the faculty and students of Mata Sundari College. I'm grateful to the chairman of the governing body, Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sahni, and the principal Harpreet Kaur, and of course, Mrs. Saran, for giving me this opportunity of being able to address the students, because I think when you've had a long career before you, you feel the need to share what maybe you did wrong, which they should avoid, or you did right and requires to be expressed, not only benefited from. So with those few words, I wanted to put my little talk with all of you into, you might say, 2 or 3 parts. The first would really be, if you're talking about administrators, women administrators, it naturally talks about the civil services. I know that Mata Sundari College actually produces students who go into many other walks of life, and therefore the IAS and civil services may be an option, but you really have today hundreds of options which mustn't be lost sight of, because we never had them at the time when I did the civil service exam. Because in whatever walk of life, you are an administrator from the day you join a career. A career is different from a job, and therefore it's necessary to have a vision of which is long term, not merely attending to office, going home, taking a salary and having colleagues and enjoying office life. That's a very limited kind of a perspective. So firstly, being an administrator does not really only affect civil servants. It really goes across the web and the woof of all the jobs women do, all the career jobs that women do. Second thing that I wanted to mention was, what are the biggest challenges all women face? It's not a question of whether you're an administrator, but as long as you are in a challenging job, you will have challenges. I want to discuss some of them, which through research, actually, everybody's agreed upon. These are not my experiences. This is something I have read about, and I have also been a part of many of these UN bodies which have studied subjects like social discrimination against women in ways which you really don't even understand till much later in your life. That needs to be discussed. That's the second part. And the third, I want to motivate all of you, both the faculty and the students, because I think every day for a woman is a challenge. And you wear so many roles and you have to commit yourself to do so many things. And sometimes we try and become perfect at everything. You want to be a perfect officer, a perfect wife, a perfect mother, a perfect daughter. You want to be a perfect host. In trying to do that, the stress that it creates around a woman is only known to her. People only see the end product and discuss that. And therefore, is there a place really for not taking that much trouble to attain perfection? Because in doing that, sometimes the qualities which are the most treasured, which are personal to you, get walked over. So these are the three parts in which I will discuss things. The first part is being an administrator. What is an administrator? Basically, you should be prepared to organize things. Your biggest role is to help to formulate some ways. It need not be high policy. It can be just the organization that you work in, a particular business. Maybe it could be in a district office, just a subdivisional officer's work. It could be much higher. You could be a secretary to government. At all times, an administrator faces the problem of helping people within the organization to be led and to show leadership to lead them. For men, a lot of this comes from a sense of entitlement, that they are the boss. They have reached that chair because they are entitled to it. Maybe they crossed the same hurdles in terms of examinations, but having occupied the chair, it is almost considered a birthright that you can exercise authority. With women, and this I will share with you, in every job that I have done, including as chief secretary, you were on test. You were being tested by your subordinates, you were being tested by your peers, and people would be more than happy at times to see that you fail. It is important, therefore, to realize that you are not in a perfect world. People will look for occasions when you will get tripped up, not because they don't like you, but the fact is that the bottleneck is extremely narrow. And if you have to shine, you have to be better than others. You cannot say, I did all my work. I am so hardworking. It is important to understand that you are on test. Every day that you go to the office, you're on test. Whether it is just an ordinary person who is coming to you, a public person coming to you, you are being tested. How receptive are you? How empathetic are you? How capable are you of taking something forward there and then? I had a gentleman colleague in the health ministry, and somebody had a terrible pension problem. It was just going on and on. And my mother told me, you should speak to so-and-so, your colleague, because this case is going on and he deals with it and maybe he can look into it and do something. So I spoke to my colleague, a very, very charming man who even now is a close friend. And this old man, by then he must have been in his 70s, he went and met the joint secretary and spent maybe 45 minutes talking to him because I had put in a word. At the end of it, he came out saying, what a wonderful person, what a charming person, what a great person. He just listened to me and he heard every word. He gave me tea and he was a wonderful officer. 6 months down the line, I asked, was his work done? It was not. So in a way, I want to share with you that window dressing sometimes goes very far. And women are on tests that, are you doing window dressing from the first moment that somebody enters your room? You are not going to be given 6 months and a lot of praise for just being charming. People will say, dekho, inko mile the, kuch kaam to kiya nahi usne. This is something you have to be up against in every job that you do. And I would share with you that if you are ambitious, you will definitely be facing hurdles. It is not a bad word or a bad, I would say, quality to be ambitious. To be a wallflower is very easy. To be ambitious is something which comes if you're driven that I'm going to excel and I'm going to do well in whatever I've undertaken to do. Sometimes that happens because people put you down and say, अरे उसका तो बस का ही नहीं है, वो तो टूर कभी नहीं कर पाएगी, वो कहाँ संडे पे आ सकती है, सर उनको तो ऐसा कोई जॉब दीजिए जो ऑफिस आना नहीं पड़े इसे सैटरडे संडेज को. This is the beginning of the end. If you fall for that kind of you might say label that you need to be at home on weekends, you will not tour at short notice, you have family problems, you may be having them, but the minute you bring those to the office and to the discussion and the table, you will be marginalized. So I would say one of the biggest challenges would be to be able to realize that you're in a career. You have to rise in that career. You cannot think of it as a job. You would have to think of where will I be 3 years from now? Where will I be 5 years from now? Where will I be at the time when things are going to be right at the very top? Am I going to be marginalized because I lack A, because I lack B? Is it good enough to say, oh, I'm no good at numbers, I'm no good at finance, no, I can't handle that, you give me something else? The minute you do that, you have closed 20 doors, because finance opens to you opportunities which are enormous. Economics offers those opportunities. But if you want to feel safe and play safe, that I want to be only in the social sectors, definitely women have empathy for problems, for people. And so they're very well suited for the social sectors. I will not deprecate that. I have spent years in the Ministry of Health. But the fact remains that the big talk and the big achievements are not in the social sectors. They are elsewhere. And since I had the opportunity of working in the Ministries of Defense and Power, I could tell you any number of stories of the atmosphere that surrounds men working in those ministries and those working in the social sector ministries. So that is something about atmospherics that women must understand. One understands it in the house. If somebody is looking grumpy, you're able to immediately know there's something wrong and you have to solve the problem now, because if you let it linger, it may not go, it may fester and become much worse tomorrow. Only women have that perception. Men would not even notice that the man who works for you is in a bad mood. If you don't tackle that bad mood, and it's got nothing to do with your house, but you help him to solve the problem, you will be able to run your house better. It's the same in the office. And therefore, I would urge, in talking about part one, be very careful about how you plan your career, how you aspire for what you are good at doing. Remember, we are not all talented exactly the same way. Some of us are great public speakers. Some of us are able to empathize with people. Some of us write extremely well. Some of us are great managers of other people in an organization. You must know your skills. You must get your friends, your family, and other well-wishers to tell you what is wrong with me and what is right with me. Be patient enough to understand that, okay, if you are an irritable person by nature, you may not be able to change those qualities, but you may have much better qualities others don't have. Make those shine. So you must select your career, your path, and your personality that you want to project to the outside world, because the outside world is judging you all the time. The second part that I want to dwell on is this whole business of being able to multitask. We all know women are great multitaskers. Which of us hasn't been able to? I mean, you would have, the students would have watched their mothers, would have watched their grandmothers. Everybody has to manage a house. You can't run away from that. Everybody has to manage examinations. You have to manage family relations. You have to manage people coming to your house. You have to manage 100 things that go on in the day-to-day life, which become a woman's issue, and very rarely will you find a man contributing. They will be very critical about what happens. This hasn't been done properly, or why don't you tell the servant to do this or that? They won't do it themselves. So you see, you will have to shoulder those responsibilities, but they go hand in hand with your office. If you want to shine, my recipe is twofold. It's a very simple recipe, and not everyone can do it. And therefore, I know that you have to understand its importance. It's worth its weight in gold. Number one, be very, very clear from the time you take on a career. I don't mean a job, I'm talking about a career. You will have domestic issues which will pull back your every day, your every week. Those domestic issues will come when you least expect them. A child will get measles, the servant will walk out on you, you may fall somewhat sick, somebody in the family may fall sick, you may be asked to do work for your in-laws or somebody, which is something beyond what you had really factored into your day or your week or your month. And suddenly it comes on you. This is going to happen. There's no way that you will have perfection. But what is very important in facing these challenges is to have always at the back of your mind the ability to have a plan B. Never despair. There has to be a plan B at the back of your head. And the other, I would say, little bit of advice I want to give. Nothing will be able to compare with the love of grandparents. If you are able to have the good fortune of having a mother or a mother-in-law staying with you, whatever be the problems that you have to face with your husband who may not welcome the idea, he will welcome them when he realizes that his children are well cared for, not as minders of children, but merely to supervise, that you can take up a touring job, you can be held over in office till midnight, and you will not say, nahi, bacche akele hain, hum kaise chalayenge, kind of thing. These two things will make you shine where others will fall by the wayside. I had another IAS officer as a colleague when I joined service. We used to drive in the same car to office in the Delhi government. We were never given staff cars then, so you just drove. And all the way there and back I never was with her. I used to come back on my own because she wanted to leave by about 6 o'clock. There was no way that I could leave at 6 o'clock. So I realized that she used to come to my room within half an hour of entering her own office, and she'd say, order some tea, pick up my phone and have a long conversation in my room about kal kya khana bana tha with her mother-in-law, just general banter during office hours. And she used to say to me, why do you work so hard? You're not going to become cabinet secretary. What is the need for you to work so hard? Just do your job and go home. And I remember thinking to myself, how can she in the Indian Administrative Service talk like this? But there are many of us, it's not deprecating IAS officers, Many women think that I'm taking home a salary and that's good enough. It is the day you decide that it's not the salary, it is the content of the job. It is also what I bring to the table, the way I made a difference. If that matters to you, it'll be intoxicating. And the minute it is intoxicating, you will look for opportunities. You won't look on it as work. If you're not given a certain assignment, you'll feel bad. I was good. Why was I overlooked for that assignment? You won't say, "Arey, aur bahut kaam hai, wo kyun hum kare?" I know officers, women officers who say, I don't want a challenging job. I want a job where I can go home and be with the children and look forward to my vacations. So to give you an example, there was Shobana Narayan. You have heard of her. She's a top civil servant. She was a wonderful dancer, still is, runs a dancing institute, is married to a foreigner and who was ambassador to India. And so she was really doubling up as a diplomat's wife. She was also a full-fledged officer in the account service of Government of India. Plus, she was a dancer of very high acclaim, not just ordinary. Now, how did she manage to do these three things? I said, Shobna, how? I wrote on her because I wrote a few articles on some special people who I thought deserved to be written about. I found that it's impossible. How did you do these three completely different jobs and get and excel at them all? So she said one secret: I never discussed this job with the people concerning the other job. The accounts people had nothing to do with my dancing career. And the dancing people had nothing to do with my career as a diplomat's wife. And I never, she says, I carried my entire wardrobe meaning my dress for the evening rehearsals, ghungaroos, everything in the dicky of the car. I left the office and I drove to Copernicus Marg, to whatever that Sri Ram Center, and we used to have our performances there. I used to drive home after that and nobody knew anything about it. So I would say that this is a tremendous example of someone who shone in three different ways. She wasn't just an administrator. And yet, if you hear of Shobana Narayanan, it'll always be only as a dancer. She put that number one, the diplomat's wife number two, and she did a bit in accounts, and she said, I chose a career which meant I did not have to go to office on Saturdays and Sundays, and I never went to office on Saturdays and Sundays. So if that be your chosen path, no harm, but definitely there is a case for deciding what your priorities are very early, and those have to be decided by you through mentorship, by your senior faculty members, maybe by your principal, maybe by your parents. But you must have a heart-to-heart talk and decide, where do I want to be? Finally, I want to share with you something from my own, I would say, background. Quite frankly, I was extremely fortunate. I think it was just God's grace. I was probably destined to be in the IAS, but did not deserve to be. Quite frankly, I was an urban creature. I had been to an elite boarding school where they taught you how to eat, your bananas with a fork and your mangoes with a spoon, how to talk, how to sit properly, how to conduct yourself, how to make conversation. They never taught you physics. They never taught you chemistry, but they taught you public speaking. Now, from this background, I was just 19 years old, and I'd gone to Missouri, to the Indian, to the academy where you have the training of the IAS and other services in the academy there, the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy of Administration. And my brother was in the Foreign Service, and he just said to me, you should do something which has national importance. What are you spending your time doing these small things all the time? Do something that matters to the country. And when he said that, I said, like what? So he said, do the IAS. And I said, the IAS, how boring. So he said, well, you're not capable of doing it, so it's all right. The minute he challenged me and said, you're not capable, something inside me hurt. I said, I will rise to this challenge. And quietly on my own, I studied. I never went to any study circle. I never told anyone I was studying for the IAS because, quite frankly, I was quite an extrovertish, quite giddy person who loved being on the stage, who loved acting, declamations, debates. I was not very interested in studies. So I said, now I have to, even without an MA, just a BA, I'm going to show these people. They can't, I mean, my brother can't just say you're incapable of doing it. So I swatted and swatted, and I had my own special techniques for passing examinations. So I tried those techniques, and lo and behold, I was in the IAS. But quite frankly, I had never taken interest in rural India, never taken interest in poverty issues, and spent maybe the first 2-3 years of my career being absolutely lackadaisical. I just thought it was so much fun, till two things happened. I got a boss who was so mean, nasty, and exacting, and made such an example of me as being the only woman among 6 men. I felt so hurt that he used to treat me like that, but he did one thing. He made me realize that the slightest imperfection will be pulled up out of the hat if it's me. It would be glossed over if it is my colleagues. Number two, when he left and was transferred, another man took over. I'm not taking names because that won't be politically correct, but he took over, and there was a change of night to day. Here was a man who was so sweet, so humble. He stood up for everyone who entered his room. When I put up a draft, he never said, what a disgraceful piece of paper. He would simply say, it's a good effort. And immediately he would start putting his pen. He changed every word I wrote, but he made me feel that I was contributing. In some way, he made me feel part of it. That is when I think I changed my attitude to work and realized the good you can do in any job in the administrative service or any of the civil services, and the bad you can do by taking it lightly. It's an opportunity I would say, even today, with all the talk about the end of the world having come and things were so much better 20, 30, 40 years ago, I would still say that working in the government, if you want to work, gives you the opportunities of not reaching out to 10 or 20 people. You're reaching out to millions if you make the right policies and you implement the right policies. Yes, you will have political problems, but this is not the time to discuss those. I want to end my talk. How much time do I have, Dr. Saran?
And 2-3 minutes.
Okay,
2-3 minutes more.
I'll just get on with it. I think quickly I want to tell you, women will always be held to higher standards. So don't judge yourself by the standards other people are judged by. I gave you the story of my colleague and the pensioner. You will be judged by the higher standards, and be prepared for that. Number two, you will have to fight gender stereotypes. It is very comfortable to stereotype you. वो तो lady है ना, वो आ नहीं सकेंगी. वो तो lady है ना, वो tour नहीं कर सकेंगी. वो lady है ना, वो तो बच्चों का तो problems होंगे. उनको लेंगे तो देखो वो तो हमेशा कुछ न कुछ छुट्टी पे जाएगी. Pregnancy के वजह से छुट्टी लेगी. This will be the back end talk, and you must be prepared for that, the stereotypes, and be able to know that this is going to happen to you behind your back. I think the third thing that's important is you must learn to play the game. Men have a tremendous ability to network, to build up a constituency, to push their idea. If a man wants to get something done, he'll get 10 people around him to be able to also vote in his favor. Vote means in a administrative context. I think that We don't do that as women. We must learn to do that. When I was in the health ministry, one of the doctors told me, Madam, you're such an excellent officer. You work so hard. But can I tell you something? You have no constituency. By now, you should have built a constituency. By that, he meant networks. And that is important. I do realize without networks, you have nothing. Whether you like being part of a group or you don't, you must make that effort because that's the only way you will be visible. The third is that you have to manage many roles, you have to be prepared for it. And whether you have your in-laws or you have good servants and you pay excessively to those good servants, you have to be having a plan B for every eventuality in your domestic life. It's going to happen. You must have support systems who you have to nurture. Maybe they're neighbors, maybe they're friends, maybe there's some other way of doing it, but that has to be something up your sleeve all the time. Finally, you must have the ability, if you want to face challenges, you must have the ability to take risks. If you're not prepared to take risks, you will never achieve anything. There's always a moment in your life when you have to say, should I not? Look at the pros and the cons and take the difficult path if that appeals to you more. It will pay you dividends, I assure you. You will not fall flat on your face, but you have to think it through and pursue it. These are the few words I wanted to share with you. I hope I've tried to motivate you a little. Whatever job you do, let it be in any walk of life, you are making a difference. Just make the difference in a way that shows. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have shared your real experiences with the students. I hope all the students will benefit from your talk. Ma'am, can I ask one question from my side?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. As far as I remember, ma'am, when you were the Chief Secretary of Delhi government, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit was the Chief Minister. And all the officers were scared of going to enter to your room. And how you have handled so efficiently a large bureaucratic setup at that time.
You know, I think it is, even today in the Yamuna Monitoring Committee, I do it. You have to be prepared for every meeting you attend. What do you want to take out of that meeting? Decide that in your head before the meeting starts. The minute you have decided that, and that is the road that you want to take to a goal or an objective, you will be able to tell officers to get off the subject. I want to talk about A. This is not relevant to A. We'll talk about B tomorrow. That is the only way that you can stay completely focused. And time management is extremely important. There's no question of being strict. But if you don't organize your life and you allow anyone and everyone to sort of, just because you want to be a nice man or a nice woman, you want to be liked, you want to be popular, it's wonderful to be liked and to be popular. I don't think that today, at the age I am, I don't think I can really count even 5 people who would be liking me because I was a very strict administrator, not in terms of time and punctuality and things like that. I was a strict administrator when it came to extracting from officers who made a promise that they would do it. And when they failed to do it and did not have an excuse for it, which was tenable, I used to take them to task, and they knew it. Now, I think that maybe you're not liked, but what is important is, will you be remembered for having contributed? If that is something that people remember you by, I think you should be happy. There's no need to always be a nice man like the Joint Secretary and the pensioner. He never did the work, but he was a nice man.
Ma'am, one last question. Ma'am, you have a vast experience of working in the central government, and how the working in central government is different from working in Delhi government.
It's hugely different, hugely. You see, in the government of India, you are formulating policy. You're helping to make policy on matters which are of national interest. And therefore, the canvas is much bigger. And the politics are much bigger, and the interdepartmental consultations. Anything you want to get done, it's not going to happen without consulting the key ministries who are also going to be affected one way or the other in asking law, asking finance, taking the minister's approval tentatively even before you move a file, because if it's not going to be politically blessed, it's never going to go forward. At the same time, to take initiative and show some resourcefulness, you have to be on your toes. You have to find, as I told you, some sort of a constituency which will help you to move forward, you know, whether it's your batchmates, whether it is people from your cadre, whether it is some people who worked with you earlier. You use these networks to move ahead in Government of India because it's a labyrinth. The state governments everywhere are completely different because the chief minister is be all and end all. In Delhi, it is somewhat different, but I've worked in Goa with several chief ministers, in Manipur also. And I know the chief minister's, he's virtually the king of that state. And therefore, to work there is much easier because once you know one man's priorities, whichever department you're in, education, health, civil supplies, agriculture, you know that this is what the CM wants, and CM normally wants something which is going to have some sort of a public appreciation. So since he is interested in that and you want that done, it's much easier. The state level work is much, much easier. There's no need to be writing long notes, no need to be arguing in a very cogent way on file. No need to be playing these games of going up and sideways and downwards, which you have to do. They're not games. They're all part of administration in the Government of India. Without that, these huge empires will not move. So you have to be a little ant moving inside those empires, which are the ministries of the Government of India. But certainly in the state governments, it's a feeling of immediate recognition and realization of what you set out to do. After all, Delhi did privatization of power. It did the CNG. It got the Bhagidari Award. It did the unit area method of house tax, which was extraordinary for those who knew what the house tax was, the mess it was in before that came, they would understand it. All these things happened because you could push buttons and the buttons would click and the work would get done. Of course, you had to work hard, you had to push those buttons hard, you had to use the chief minister's, you might say her personal power and name to get certain things done, definitely. But it's a feeling of the here and the now, which is very, very different from the long term in the Government of India. Nothing in Government of India happens overnight. In state governments, it happens within an hour. So it's a completely different kind of a ball game.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing inspiring and thought-provoking views and experiences. You have explained beautifully how a woman, which type of the issues and challenges a woman face during the administration. So I think this coming generation and coming students will benefit from your talk. And as you have explained, girls should they should know their potentials and they should understand, and then they should do the skill development in that areas, and they should select their career very wisely. And I'm sure from your talk all the students, they will understand the pros and cons of everything, and how a woman can work efficiently in every field and touch the heights as you have done, ma'am. We are really proud of you. Thank you so much, ma'am. On behalf of Mata Sundari College for Women, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to our resource person, the Honorable and respected Mrs. Shalja Chandra, former IAS officer. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Please accept our sincere gratitude for taking out time from your busy schedule and gracing us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now I would request our principal ma'am, Professor Harpreet Kaur, to share views on women in academics. Professor Harpreet Kaur is the principal of Mata Sundari College for Women. Previously, she was the vice principal of Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce. She joined Shri Guru Gobind Singh Khalsa College of Commerce in 1990. She is passionate about writing, has to her credit 24 books, 9 book chapters, 25 research papers in national and 6 in international journals. 23 book reviews, 4 forward and editorials, many newspaper articles. In addition, 5 booklets were published by Dharam Prachar Committee, Delhi Sikh Gurdwara Management Committee. She has wrote 4 forward editorial in books on Guru Amar Das Ji and debate in Parliament on 1984. Dr. Harpreet Kaur has presented 17 papers in national conferences, 11 papers at international conferences, including at Stanford University, USA, Warsaw School of Economics, Poland, University of Ottawa, Canada, Capital School of Business and Management, UK, World Punjabi Conference held at Brampton, Canada in 2017. Dr. Harpreet Kaur was a resource person at FDP organized by Khalsa College and Zakir Hussain College under Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on uh, Teacher Training and Teaching. Ma'am's achievement list is too long. I would request ma'am to please share her views on the women in academics.
Uh,
Ma'am,
thank you.
over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sarabji. Now, this session has really been very, very enlightening. We had women from various facets, I think various facets of life, IAS officer, IPS officer, and all the first ones. So after them, I don't have much to speak. And moreover, you listen to me so often. But here, I will just highlight very few things how you can be successful in academics, because academics is totally a different kind of a career where you have to slog, where you have to work hard, where you have to put in such a labor which is not even visible to other people. So that you have to work hard, you have to study, and and it becomes such boring very many times, so monotonous. That is why I will just focus on few things, that how you can become good academics, and how you can rise in that particular field. Now, firstly, I think focus is very important. Focus on what you want to do. If you really want to take up educational line, then take it, but you have to remain very focused. It should not be the last resort. कहीं और नहीं हुआ है तो चलो हम पढ़ा लेते हैं, तो वो नहीं होना चाहिए. You should be very particular that you are taking this job because you have passion for this job, because you like it, and you want to contribute something to the people, and to the coming generations. You want to train the coming generations, because after all, teaching is important, because you are, creating a generation, and this generation whole lot will look at you. And if you remember your teacher, that so and so was my teacher, I think that is the best tribute to any teacher. Secondly, also, once you are in the job, I think work-life balance has been, told by both the art speakers, that my small things at home are very important. If my children are not in order, if my house is not in order, then I'm not happy at work also. And everyone has to find their own ways and means. Nobody can tell you that how you will balance your life. It is, you will have to think it yourself, and then you can, balance your life. So it is very important that you have balancing your life. And in this vein also, the small leisure at home, or if I want to go out for a small trip, I think that is also very important, because we will rejuvenate ourselves, and then we will work later on. Thirdly, I would say that commitment is very important. I am committed to my work. If I want that, each thing is important. If I want that people should respect me, I should be committed to my work. And nowhere there is no shortcut to success. You always have to, climb through the ladder and take things in one by one. Don't take all things together, because you will not be able to balance the things. So take things as they come, try to solve them. And the solution to the problem is what Dr. Kiran Bedi also said, that solution to the problem is by and large most important. Don't be afraid of problems, those negativities in life which are you are facing all the many times, but be positive in your approach. If you are positive in your approach, I think you can, you can succeed in anything. Also, accessibility. What I believe, as I take Mata Sundari College as my family, and I am accessible to all my faculty members. And all my students also, the students also many times come to me and they ask their problems, and even faculty members, I am always open. So it is kind of my second family, and that is why I really love all of them. And I think whatever little love I am getting from their side is because of that, because I treat them as a family, and always ready to listen to all their, even the minor problems, not only professional problems but also the personal problems. And I love my family here. And also that what is important is that you have to balance all your activities, because I have to pursue certain other activities also. As an administrator, I have to do so many other things. I have to balance other things. I have to balance my home also. So balance all your activities, find time for each small thing. It's not that, even if you are talking to even a junior person or whoever it is, but find time for that. Be patient, listen to their problems. And then I think there will be a balance. Also, what is important is that you should have future targets. You end one thing, but you always aspire for something else. Today is not the last day, because of course there has to be some other future endeavors always going on. And that is why I always plan for the future, that these are my targets and I want to complete my targets. Your personal targets are important, along with your professional targets, that this is what my college wants, this is what I want to take my college here. And I also want that my faculty should come forward and take the and be a part of it. So future targets are is very important, that this is what you want. And a vision is very important. If you cannot dream and big, then you will never reach anywhere. So dreaming big is very important, and this dreaming should be with open eyes, that you are working for it. नींद में आपने सोच लिया और नहीं काम किया, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. You have to work for it. And so dreaming with open eyes is very important. Also, for in academics, I think additional skills are very important nowadays. Just knowing my subject is mandatory, it is the basic premise, it is a prerequisite. But knowing my subject, but knowing many other things is also very important. I should know what is going on in my society. For example, I should know that literacy level in India is not so high. I should know that in academics, if the women are coming forward, there are certain constraints they are facing, because they are not getting the same position as men. For example, even if you see in research, they are somewhere lagging behind. And all this is because there are many things, because you cannot reinvent yourself, because you don't have time for yourself. Most of the women who have to work at home also and balance their life also, what happens is sometimes you are unable to you reinvent yourself, and that is why a lot many problems come, and you are unable to succeed in future endeavors, and get promotions and all those. So again, their balancing is very important. That balancing act has to be done. But future targets are equally important, and along with the additional skills what I am talking about. For example, my communication skills are very important. I have to communicate all what I want for my college to everyone, and I have to do in a manner that they like it. Even my students will come forward if we communicate to them that this is what we were, this is our target for the college, and you all should come join hands together. Another thing is digital skills nowadays are very important. And we are seeing this whole lot of webinars which are coming up. And I'm sure my faculty was not so conversant before COVID, but now all of are so conversant and they are doing it so beautifully. So learning is, it should be on and on. You just cannot end your learning, because there are so many things which you have to learn. And digital learning nowadays is very important, and you have to learn it to the extent that you are able to communicate it with your students. Until and unless you are conversant, the students will not be so comfortable with you. So and also technology will make things so interesting, because I can show this small video. I think the small video showcased by Dr. Kiran Bedi about herself. I think those things were talking. I also spoke about those things, but when we saw it on the in the video, I think it made it more interesting. So that is why these additional skills are going to help you in long state, and never feel that these are going to go waste. So whatever learning you are getting from various quarters, just grab it, just learn from it. And also one thing, another thing which is in academics, confidence is very important. You should be confident about your answers, about your presentation, about what how you express, and about all what you do. So somewhere you might be, doing many things, but you are unable to express it, unable to express it in front of your students or other things, then these things are incomplete. So be confident of what you are learning, so that you will disseminate this learning to the students, to the younger generation. And be confident to express your opinion. Many times you don't like many things which are going on in the world, in the country, also in the college, but express your opinion. Now this criticism, don't take it as negative kind of a thing, because criticism is a healthy criticism is very healthy for you also. uh, just don't feel that you are demoralized because so and so is saying that ma'am is like this, and she doesn't know, and she is all this and all. But learn from it how you can improve yourself, because your critics are your best friend, I believe, because they teach you so much. And don't have grievance from them, and don't have any grudge for them, but learn from their experiences, learn from what they say, and this will help you to improve your personality. Also, what is important is doing research. Doing research is again a part of your curiosity, that you have to fulfill your curiosity. There are so many things which are going on in society, but you ought to learn them, and you ought to understand that how you can express your opinion about them, and have a systematic approach. Do it systematically. Many times I think this All India Higher Education Survey has told that many times the women who are there in academics don't spend time in research. They do quite a lot as far as these classes are concerned. They will teach their students very well. They will also take up other things like the committee issues. All the many committees are taken up by them. But as far as this research angle is concerned, they don't work much because of various constraints. Of course, as I said, maybe the familial responsibilities are forcing you not to work day night and so on, because you are busy with other things, your daily course. So there can be many reasons to it also, but make research a part of your culture. And this statistics which I am sharing with you is just now not only in India, but it is world over, where housework is even shared by the men. There also women in academics are not doing so much in the field of research. So these are the things which we have to focus on. If we are in this line, if the students want to come in this line, then have a knack for research. You should think about it. You should think anything very deeply, try to pen it down, try to express it, and I think then you will go a long way. Another thing is that critics, I've already told you that they are your best friends, but your attention, your focus is also important. That how much span of studies you is there. The student should actually increase their span of time of working, and find some motivation somewhere. You can find motivation within yourself only when you have some role models. So think about those role models, that I want to become like this person or that person, and then I think you can do very well. So having role models is also very important. Another thing is that I have to balance my emotions also. That I have to reduce my anxiety, those kind of anxiety which is sometimes troubling me. Those things should be controlled. And then I think it will increase my confidence also, and I will be positive towards many things. Being ethical in your approach is going to help you very much, because being ethical, then you don't have time to think about negativity. And so you can, do many things. You can be so productive if you are being ethical. And so all things about education is the discourse of opportunities also, that how many opportunities the women get to come in academics. Sometimes in the rural areas, even in the urban areas, the girls are told, no, you are not to work after marriage. You are just, you are studying and you are, doing well. But, after marriage, suddenly you say, the family says, no, no, you are not doing this. So, but you have to create opportunities for yourself. What you want in life, that is very important. um, Also, then you have to create an identity for yourself, that this is my identity. And not to say that you are asserting your identity in a negative manner, but you are, disseminating your identity along with the family, along with the society, along with your profession. And that is what is needed. So I implore my students to reflect, aspire, and act. First, reflect. These are the three things I think very, very, very in a capsule form. I want to tell you that reflect on what you want to do. What is my aspiration? Then aspire for it. Work hard for it. Focus on it. And then channelize all your energies for it. And then act. Then you are acting on that, you are focused on your thing, and you are unshakable with your resolve, and nobody is going to shake you. But this is my aim. Yes, I want to do this, and I have to balance my life, but I am balancing along with this acting. And then you will be powerful yourself. You have to show this power to the world. And at the end, I would also want to say that in academics, after all, we are distributing solutions is not the correct thing. We have to distribute ability to solve the problems, to correct the imbalance which is going on in the society, that where women in academics are very less. Women, as far as literacy rate is concerned, it is improving, but yet it is very less, far from satisfactory. So we have to correct the imbalance in the society, but with our own powerful, you can say, self. And so it is for us to decide what path we have to take, how we have to take, and this is all, then we can rise very well. So with these words, I want that my students should be very clear and focused in their life, and balance all the things in life, and be successful. With all good wishes to my future aspirants and my future students who are going to do many things in life, with all the blessings. And also, I want to thank the entire team, the philosophy department and physical science department and psychology department, who have come together to guide the students in this very, very unique event, where we are where very, very successful women from all walks of our life are coming and sharing. And I'm sure you are going to learn quite a bit from this, and this will always be a memorable one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for explaining what is expected from a woman in academics. Girls, you have to work upon your communication skills, and you have to also learn how to manage your emotions, how to understand other people's emotions, how to express your emotions. And ma'am has also explained how you can do the work and life balance, and how you have to be ethical in academics. And first ma'am has told ki first you identify what you really want to do in your life. You have to identify yourself, what your good areas. Then you have to inculcate the skills in those areas. And ma'am has also explained, first reflect, then aspire, then focus, and then achieve whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve in your life. So you have to, all of the students have to select their realistic goals into the life, so then they can aspire. And any all the persons, all the students, they have the potential to do good things in life. In any one area, one person maybe have the potential to do in one particular area, maybe the other student can do well in another particular area. So ma'am has explained beautifully. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's my privilege to offer vote of thanks to our principal ma'am, who has always been a support, guidance for all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a enlightening speech. I'm sure students will get benefit from this. Whosoever want to go in the academics, now they must work upon the skills, whatever is required for to be a good teacher. So I also extend my thanks to our chairman governing body, Padam Shri Sardar Vikramjit Singh Sani, for with us on this event. Thank you so much, sir. A special thanks to Ms. Priyanka Gupta from Computer Science Department, Ms. Sangeeta Patik from Technical for the technical support, and my grateful thanks also goes to the all members of the organizing committee, psychology department, physical science, and philosophy department for the continuous support and coordination to make this event a great success. Thank you so much, psychology department, philosophy department, and physical education department, and also principal ma'am for the continuous support and the guidance. Thank you so much, ma'am. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants, our teachers, non-teaching staff, and dear students, and all other participants for their active participation. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of today's workshop. Thank you so much. Himlata, if you want to give some instructions for tomorrow and day after tomorrow's workshop, so please go ahead. We have also, tomorrow we have, I think, offline session, then day after tomorrow, then again we have.
Can we have the poster, the combined one?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Himlata, आप बोलो.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you so much, Hemlata.
For all the students, it is
Everyone from the physical education department.
Thank you.
For the all sport and coordination.
Unmute Hemlata. Unmute Hemlata, please. Unmute her. For day 2, she'll explain for day 3. Day 2, everyone, all the students have to attempt this assignment, and it will be compulsory for you if you want a certificate from our side. For 3-day workshop, it is mandatory for you to attempt this question. It is only in 100 words which you have to write about today's session, what you have gained, and you just need to write on that and submit that form. And for day 3, Hemlata, Priyanka, unmute Hemlata, please. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. For day 3, we have 3 speakers with us. One, we have Ms. Preeti Tanwar. She is CEO of High Ed Success, and she will be addressing us from her place in Georgia, USA. Then we have a scientist, Dr. Pooja Hazari. She is Joint Director, DRDO. And after that, we have Ms. Manu Bhakar, who is an Olympian. She will be addressing us day after tomorrow. So I hope like today everybody joined and motivated all of us. It feels really good to have you join us. And I hope on day 3 also you'll all make it a success. Thank you.
For teachers, it's not mandatory to attempt that question. Teachers are exempted from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we wind up, Sangeeta? Thank you so much.
Can we have a photograph if people are there?
Yes, 130 participants are there.
Can everyone please switch on the camera so that we can have a photograph? Sangeeta ji and Priyanka, you have the control, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta.
Thank you so much. Can we leave now, Sangeeta? Thank you so much for all the support.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm ending the meet.
Feedback link is activated.
Ma'am, can we end the meeting for all?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.